Good morning, guys. I'm recording Happy New Year. I'm recording our Domination Station breakdown for the 3-game playoff that we have today on New Year's Day. Um the Ohio State Oregon game has the highest total then, but no none of the three totals are too high, just between 45 and 55. Um I'll start it with 20 lineups, and I'll do tournament mode. I don't know if I want rules on this slate just because it can get restrictive when we only have 6 teams anyway. But let's see what we get with and I'll do like a 70% maximum. Let's see what we get. But at quarterback, I think these top 3 guys are likely to be the highest owned. I like Gabriel the best. Then Riley Leonard, I like his upside, and then Will Howard in game stacks too. So we're getting a lot of Gabriel, and then it's split between Howard and Riley Leonard, and Quinn Ewers. So except for Arch Manning, I'm gonna try to get. I want exposure to everyone just because there's only 3 games. We've never seen Gunnar Stockton play a whole game, so there's a chance he could hit. We might have to do some rules because it loves these cheap Oregon receivers. But like Leonard's not the type of quarterback I want to do a rule around. So let's see. So what I might do is make a receiver with no more than one receiver from the same team, and then you don't get a lineup like this first one where you have. I'm fine with 2 receivers and not the quarterback, but 3 is definitely pushing it. So this rule will help avoid a lineup like this where there's 3 receivers and no running backs. So interesting. We're getting some super flex, non QB. The skill players are pretty good. I'd still lean a quarterback in flex, in super flex, I mean. And then I'm fine with running back, or I like ETN a lot. We have a lot of Scatterboo, which I'm fine with. We just saw ETN have a huge game against Texas. And then I like the backs we're getting. I'm pretty. I don't know. I don't want this much Ferguson, but I get it. He's very cheap. I'd probably so we're getting a lot of the punt receivers. I know Ferguson's a tight end, but Ferguson and Guillory, we're getting a lot of. I might make the receivers like 50 besides Tez Johnson. just so we spread out some of this exposure. And who else do I like in the cheap receiver pool? Yeah, Mateer and Guillory are strong plays. Stovall too. So this like cheap receiver spot could really be important. So I kind of want to spread out the exposure a little bit. I like these guys, but I just want to spread out the exposure. So let's see where we're at when we run the domination station again. All right, so that helped. It looks like to get rid of some of the Oregon like triple stacking. So we have Stewart and Johnson double stacked with Gabriel, which I'm fine with. This is a nice game stack. It has 2 game stacks. So Ohio State and Oregon. And then Arizona State and Texas with Scatterboot, Stovall, and Golden on the other side. So this is kind of what I'm looking at. Let's see. We did get some Stockton and Levitt mixed in. I'm fine with this, the bulk of it being these 3 guys. So I'm pretty happy here. And then we can look at FanDuel. So Leonard doesn't need to be stacked, but all the receivers are so cheap that I like Faison. So my 15% Faison is falling in with Riley Leonard. I might boost Tez a little because there's so many cheap. There's a lot of cheap receivers. Yeah, so these are pretty good. All right, so I'll run it again, download it, and we'll move on to FanDuel. All right, so for FanDuel, I'm gonna do like 10. Let's see what we get. We can do the same thing where with the wide receiver, we want no more than 1 wide receiver or tight end from the same team. Now we'll get the triple stacks out. All right, so a lot of viewers because he's pretty cheap, but boost up Gabriel so he's on top of viewers, and then give Howard like 21. I'm fine with the running backs. I like a lot of. I think Henderson has 2 touchdown upside, so I'll boost him. And then Whittington's somebody who I'd want like 10% of. He's pretty cheap on both sites. And ETN I like a lot of. Cam I like a lot of at this price. Receiver, there's not really a standout. I do like the expensive guys. They're easy to fit in with some of the value we have. Stovall and Guillory aren't too expensive. Tate's cheap. So there's a lot of ways you can go to fit in an expensive receiver. All right, so maybe too much Travion, but see, all he needs is 14 to get in the optimal. I do want him in my builds, just not 70%. And I'd probably bump Golden down to maybe I'll do this. So 35. But then like Tez and JJ, I'm fine. JJ Smith, I'm fine. Having a lot more exposure. So let's do this again. All right, so oops. So a lot of it's like kind of mixing the projections around so we get what we need. Henderson's also interesting because people don't like the timeshare. So I think he'll be pretty low owned compared to the backs with double digit touchdown upside. Yeah, so this is pretty good. Let's see. I'm pretty happy with this mixing in. Let's see if there's a receiver I like that we're not getting. We don't have Guillory because he was like Stone Min on Draftkings, but he's 6K here. I do like Tate. Just the running back pricing's softer, so you don't need to go bargain hunting as much. So it likes Arian Smith. This is contrarian. A Ewers double stack, especially with Bond coming off of injury. I'm gonna cap him though. Let's run it one more time and see what we get. So we're getting a lot of Helm. We're getting some Mateer at tight end. Yeah, I think this is pretty good. I'm gonna tinker a little bit more, but this is what I have for today. I can do some let me do some prize picks while I have the time. They didn't have a Scattaboo touchdowns line when I last looked. So that's something I'll look for. It doesn't look like we'll get that. Um the fantasy score one's pretty interesting. Um I think he can get there. I know Texas is obviously much tougher than these, but the usage is just insane, especially with no Tyson that I think this makes a lot of sense. And that encapsulates receiving yards, rush yards, receptions. So uh it looks like this receiving yards is popular, but I don't know. It's just that's to me that's harder to predict. Um I'm on Gabriel pass yards. This keeps climbing. Um I think it opened in the 220s, but he had 341 versus Ohio State. And as long as this game isn't, well, the Wisconsin game was actually close for a while, but if it's back and forth, 250 shouldn't be an issue. Um, he hasn't had a lot of rushing TDs down the stretch. He had like 12 or something last year versus when he was with Oklahoma. What else do we like? And then Leonard Rush attempts is another one that's interesting. Um, let's look at the rush attempts. So I don't know. I kind of like this one. I just if this is a competitive game, I think Travion gets more work. I might just play the over on Travion, and even this Michigan game, which was a disaster, he still had 10. That's kind of interesting to me. I also like Travion rush yards over. Um, and then Riley Leonard attempts under. He's usually just, they have Love and Price. So even though he can do some damage, he isn't getting extensive carries. So this one's good too. Um, ETN, he had 16 last game. There's no backs, so I kind of like the over here too. So we can do a little 3-man power play. All right, I think that's what I have today. Thanks for watching and Happy New Year.